name is Batty, and after the last storytime video where I topped off my drink with rum and didn't want to move or generally be alive the next day, I will be telling this story this time completely alcohol-free. Pray for me. Now, it comes as a surprise to no one that I've got a fair amount of tattoos and I'm planning on getting more. I love everything about tattoos, not just how they look, but the process of picking out a design, the idea of picking out, something that's going to go forever on my body and having the existential crisis of, dear God, this is a permanent decision. Oh my God, who let me make this permanent of a decision? Somebody stop me. I need an adult that's adultier than I am. Honestly, I even love the feeling of getting tattoos. I'm sure there's a psychologist out there that would love to break that one down. So my general obsession with tattoos, combined with the amount of artistic ability that I have, which is passing, it led me to want to become a tattoo artist. I had a really deep love for the industry, and so that led me to get a tattoo apprenticeship. So I don't just blindly waltz into a tattoo shop. Somebody please help me, I don't know what I'm doing. No, I do a little bit of research. I get a portfolio together of my favorite art pieces, and I take it into a local shop. Prior to having them look at my portfolio, I actually had set up a tattoo appointment at this shop for a tattoo on my ribs. The owner of the shop interviewed me while he was tattooing my ribs. I'm laid out on a chair with my top halfway up, and I'm getting a needle jammed into my rib cage by the owner of the store that I'm trying to work at. And he's over here asking me about my artistic goals and, where do I see myself in 5 years and what made me want to be a tattoo artist. And the whole time I'm just like, yeah, that's great. Yep, please let me work for you for free. And somehow I make it. I make it through the tattoo process. I make it through the interview. And the owner of the shop says that he likes how eager I am and that he wants to be my mentor. We'll call this guy Jack. For Jack. So my first day at the shop rolls around and I am ready to go. I have done my research. I've grabbed all of the artistic tools that I might need. I am pumped. I'm ready for anything that they throw at me. I'm ready to scrub the floor with a toothbrush if that's what it takes. I am ready to go. This is what I've wanted for years. So I walk up to him and I'm just like, hey, oh my goodness, I'm just so excited to be here. Thank you so much for this. Do you know that I fired someone on their first day once? What? Yeah, so great start. And then he proceeds to tell me this long story about all the apprentices that he's fired. He's had 17 of them. The reasons for them getting fired range from anything from drugs, which is understandable, to, I don't know, I just felt like it. What? As if I'm not already worried enough, he tells me the story of how he's gotten arrested for almost killing a man. What the fuck? I'm already emotionally planning how I'm going to get through my inevitable firing and or telling the cops all of my personal information so they can find my body if this whole apprenticeship really goes south. Come on, Batty, this is what you've wanted for years. So I go inside, and I get introduced to everyone, including the other artists, and I get told all of my tasks. Apprentices have tasks. Great. Awesome. Okay. My tasks are to sit at the front desk, answer the phone, schedule his appointments, and sweep occasionally. That's it. After all the things I had read about tattoo apprentices being made to scrub the floor with a toothbrush, of tattoo apprentices being used as paintball practice targets, of tattoo apprentices being subjected to weird outside of the shop chores, that's all I have to do? It turns out the reason for my super light workload was because he already had an apprentice. We'll call this other apprentice Karen. She seemed like a Karen. She tried to get me involved in an MLM, and that seems like a really Karen thing to do. Well, Karen was Jack's fiancée, and she had been an apprentice there for 4 years. What the fuck? I had been told my apprenticeship was going to be anywhere from a year to a year and a half, and somehow the most amazing artist that I've ever seen in my entire life was still an apprentice after 4 years. But not to worry, Jack says. I don't have a thing to worry about. As long as I'm not a weirdo or an outdated slur for the mentally disabled, I'll be fine. Over the next few weeks, he revealed himself to be not the chill but no-nonsense guy I met at my interview, but one of the most wishy-washy, insensitive, rudest people I've ever met in my entire life, and I worked in retail. Friends, let's play a game. We'll call it the Red Flag Lightning Round. Highlights include him telling me to my face that he would never hire a woman in the shop, telling me how he abused his only successful apprentice and how he threatened to smack this apprentice like he owned him for what he thought was a shitty look, how he also made that prior apprentice throw up because he spoke to him so terribly, the multiple times he would ask me what was a client's race before giving me a price quote for their tattoo, completely banning me from talking to customers past "Hi, how are you?" even if they wanted to talk, and then also getting mad at me when I didn't talk to them. He told another woman that he didn't like a particular lady that he knew because she didn't like that he told rape jokes and that she was a bitch for not laughing at them. How many examples of bad behavior is that? Wow, would you look at that? Just incredible. And yet he had me totally convinced that he was the best person to learn from. So yeah, things I would be allowed to do one minute, I wasn't allowed to do the next one under threat of being fired. He was like, hey, you can use the light table if you want to. You made the design, so it's totally okay. And then literally an hour later, he walks up to me and he threatens to fire me for using the light table. He completely denied ever having told me that it was okay for me to use. Hey Jack, can I get some help with this thing? Only ask me for help, because I know best. Go ask the others for help instead. No, stop asking them for help and just come get suggestions from me. No, stop taking my suggestions and do your own thing. You've been here long enough to know how to do that by now. You don't know enough to start coming up with your own stuff. You need to stop doing it. I don't get why you're just so uptight all the time. You can relax. What are you so relaxed for? You don't know us like that yet. Look, I really just don't understand how you think. So if you can come up with a better way to communicate with me, I'll try to work through it. This shop has been built around me, and I'm 45 years old, so I'm just not gonna change. The whole thing was an existential nightmare. If you want to know what I actually did for the first 3 months of my apprenticeship, day in and day out, I drew roses. I drew roses every single day. The same style of rose. And whenever I would ask him for feedback or pointers or, hey, do you think this could be improved? It was, nah, those look fine. Just go do more roses. Guys, I wasn't even allowed to color them. They were just black and gray pen roses. Pages and pages and pages of fucking roses. The same thing over and over. And then even when he did start to give me assignments, it was only like one a week. And they weren't complicated assignments. They weren't difficult. They were basic pen drawings, make it as clean as you possibly can. And even when I drug my feet, I was getting them done 2 to 3 days early. But if you've been following along his characterization in the story, do you think I was allowed to turn those in early? Nope, no I was not. And somewhere down the line, I decided that the problem wasn't my mentor. The problem wasn't Jack. It couldn't be. It had to be me. I had to be the problem. All I had to do to make this progress faster and actually be taught how to do things was to show him that I really wanted it, work even harder than I had been, right? I started studying up on tattoo styles outside of the shop. I started asking more questions, even though my questions never got answered. They were always replaced with, oh, well, that's for later. Oh, don't worry about that now. 5 months. I am 5 months into what is supposed to be a year-long apprenticeship, and I don't know how to sanitize a station. I don't know how to clean anything. I don't know how to set up a station. I don't know how to clean tubes. I don't know anything about machines. Nothing. I'm not even allowed to watch him tattoo. 5 months into what is supposed to be a year. And whenever I had any downtime and tried to expand my artistic style, you know what I got for my troubles? I got a slap on the wrist and I got told, oh no, what I give you is enough, even though it's not enough, even though he doesn't give me proper feedback on what I'm supposed to do, even though I don't know what I'm doing anywhere else. Yeah, Jack, that one drawing of a compass that I'm supposed to have done in 5 days that I got done in 2. I'm sure that's enough. The restrictions on what I was allowed to do got worse and worse and worse. It was just a slow death by a squeeze and 1,000 paper cuts. My cleaning became restricted even more than it had been. How I was talking to customers became restricted even more than it had been. I was totally isolated up at the front desk. He was refusing to give me answers, and I had just had it. Looked at him dead in the face, and I went, you know what? If there ever comes a day, ever, where I can quit my day job and be here full time, I'm going to be. Because I love tattooing, and that has not changed. 2 days later, he fires me. He comes up to me at the front desk, and he tells me to go home, and that he would call me. To absolutely no one's shock and surprise, he never did. I spent 5 months there and didn't learn a thing. I learned nothing. I learned how to answer phones and schedule his appointments, which I already knew how to do from my day job. I didn't learn anything about how to actually tattoo, or how the process worked, or how the cleaning worked, or how even to set up a station. I learned nothing. He kept me in total, absolute isolation the entire time. My experience is not unique. Tattoo apprentices go through either the slow, painful isolation death that mine did, or, they're pushed to their absolute limits, and apprenticeships are never going to get better if we don't talk about them. If you guys want to see me make a part 2 of this video and go into a little more detail instead of the overarching storyline, I'd be happy to do that. Until the next video, stay spooky.